right, so today I want to talk about a so-called contradiction as it relates to the Bible. Now, we know if you look for something, whether it's there or not, you will find it, allegedly. So I want to talk about, again, contradictions. So we're going to see how this plays out. Now, this contradiction is concerning more or less who's going to be ruling in the kingdom of heaven. Now, in 2 Samuel's, this is an example here what I'm talking about. In 2 Samuel's 7:16, it says, "And your house and your kingdom shall be established forever."
Forever. Forever. Forever.
Before you. Your throne shall be established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David. So David's kingdom would be established forever. It says so in 2 Samuel's. Now, this is what I mean by a so-called alleged contradiction. Now in Revelation 11:15, it says, "And the seventh angel," now that's very important, okay? That's very important. "The seventh angel sounded, and there were great voices in heaven saying, the kingdoms of this world are become the kingdoms of our Adonai," our master, "and of his Mashiach, and he shall reign forever and ever." Now, somebody that's not very learned in this, and again, or they're just looking for contradictions because they were taught that there's contradictions in the book, they might bring this up to try to, solidify the theory that they have, right? Okay, now, because it's talking about two different people, Mashiach and David, both ruling, I don't want to say both ruling, but basically you have two names ruling in the kingdom of heaven. Very simple. It says it right there. So you're either going to say it's a contradiction or that there's going to be, two individuals ruling in the kingdom of heaven.
Forever.
But let's see. Again, is this an error, a contradiction, or what? Or do you just not know? So right here in Ezekiel 37:22, it says, "And I will make them one nation in the land upon the mountains of Israel, and one king shall be king to them all." That's it in relevant part. So we see that it's going to be just one king. So as we go back here and we see David on the left hand side in Samuel and Mashiach in Revelation, is it a contradiction, an error, or do you just not know? Because again, it's just going to be one king. Now, since we're in Ezekiel, we're going to drop down to verse 24, and that says, "And David my servant shall be king over them." It's going back to David, which we saw in 2 Samuel's chapter 7. "And they shall have one shepherd. They shall also walk in my judgments and guard my statutes and do them, and they shall dwell in the land that I have given unto Jacob my servant, wherein your fathers have dwelt." This is not everybody. "Your fathers have dwelt, and they shall dwell therein, even they, and their children, and their children's children, forever.
Forever.
And my servant David shall be their prince forever." Which is it, Mashiach or David? Allegedly. That's what the typical person would be thinking. Unless you just program, it's a contradiction and I'm just hard-headed. You can't correct me even though I don't know what I'm talking about. There's that spirit too. So let's get some understanding. So as we go back to 2 Samuel, we're going to go to verse 12. And that says, and when your days be fulfilled, this is talking to David, remember, okay? And you shall sleep with your fathers, I will set up your seed after you, which shall proceed out of your generations. So that's important. And I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name. So there's two criteria here. It's the seed of David that's being promised, and of his seed, this descendant is going to build a house for the Most High's name. And I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever.
Forever.
That's the tie-in punchline. That's how David, who would pass away, is going to still continuously rule. It's through his generations, the criteria, his descendants would build a house for the Most High's name. This is why you have in Luke chapter 3, you have such and such, the son of the son of the son of the son of. That's the importance of that, because it connects to prophecy. It is not religious. None of this is religious. The fact that a man can get it popping with a woman and have, seed produced generation after generation, that's not religious. None of this is religious. But again, people just think so. So getting back to it, this is the tie-in. This is how David would rule forever. And in the Revelation, it will say Mashiach shall rule forever, because Mashiach comes through the seed of David. You have to know that. If you think it's a contradiction, you can think whatever, but again, you just need to do further research. It doesn't matter the man, it's the seed of David. Moving on. Okay, so we're going to take a trip to 1 Kings chapter 9, starting at verse 4. It says, and if you will walk before me as David your father walked, this is the key, in integrity of heart and in uprightness, to do according to all that I have commanded you, and will guard my statutes and my judgments, then I will establish the throne of your kingdom upon Israel forever. This is being spoken to Solomon, as I promised to David your father, because he's the only subsequent king to David. You have to know the account from Samuel's to the Kings, because it's all king related, right? Even into the Chronicles. So that's the punchline. So we have this being said to Solomon, connected back to the original promise to his father David. 8:20 says, and Yah has performed his word that he spoke, and am risen up in the room of David my father, and sit on the throne of Israel. It's David's continual through his seed kingdom. It's still David's kingdom, even though it's his son. That's what y'all need to know, instead of just contradiction. It says, as Yah promised, because the original promise was to David, and have built the house for the name of Yah, Elohai of Israel. So, and we all know that Solomon built the house, or quote unquote temple of Yah. I actually just recently brought that out in another video, but that's the connecting thing here. Solomon is the first example of David's seed ruling in David's kingdom. David was the first upright king of the people Israel. People, I'm putting emphasis because people think landmass. This is a people Israel. Now, here's the thing. Now we know Mashiach never built a physical temple, and the key word is physical, because Mark 14:58 says, and we heard him say, I will destroy this temple, that is made with hands. This is a physical temple. And within 3 days, I will build another made without hands. This is a quote unquote spiritual temple that you see in Revelation also. So it's not what we're used to that Solomon actually built. This is what we think. And people are still waiting on the third physical temple, even though it will be a people made without hands. So the third temple, 1 Corinthians 6:19. All I'm doing is quoting it. What? Know you not that your body is the temple of the Ruach HaKodesh, which is in you, which you have of Elohim, and you are not your own. That's this third temple. It will not be, man, I tell you, these religions have caused all of this confusion. This is very simple. John 2:21, but he spoke of the temple of his body. Your body is the temple. This is very simple. This is the temple that Mashiach, the seed of David, both criteria, is building. How is David going to rule after being, passed away for thousands of years? How is physical King David going to physically rule forever? No, it's through his seed. How is the temple going to be there? It's a people, a body of people. And we know that body of people is the nation of Israel. It never changes. That's the congregation. That's the church. That's the assembly. It's not a religious church. It's a people church. That's what we need to know. It is not a contradiction that we see Mashiach in Revelation and then David back in Samuel's, because Mashiach, it's a seed promise here. Let me be specific, because I know people loved it. Oh man, you said it. It's a king cup like promise. That's what it is. One is the seed. The second, building a particular temple. And I know religions want to say, oh no, there's nothing about the seed. That's what they say, but that is a bullshit lie. Oh, Hamashiach didn't have a physical daddy. Then he wouldn't have existed physically. All this religious stuff, and it's crazy because today is technically Easter, but all of this confusion because people want to believe what somebody says as if that's what somebody read. You can say what you want to say, but you can't deny the words that literally were just copied and pasted. The problem, if you have a problem with it, the problem is with you. That's all I have for now, as it is written, and I'm out.